my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Binman. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up because today we are doing our book talk on Crowded Out by Nora Kenworthy. Nora Kenworthy has been researching how technology and asking for help has changed how we view not only charity, but who deserves charity. And she really digs into it in Crowded Out. Now, what is crowdfunding and what was that like before technology? Crowdfunding is any time a community gets together to help an individual for something. It could be the penny jar at the grocery store, it could be community, church, school efforts asking for help for a specific thing or a specific person. I would even argue that you could consider something like a baby or a wedding shower as crowdfunding as well. We're just thinking about it in a different way. We know these people and we want to help them on some kind of event that is happening in their life. And the interesting thing about this book is that Nora takes the idea of crowdfunding but only addresses it in technology, through the use of technology. And she really kind of dives into the world, especially of the platform GoFundMe, because it is something that has probably touched you, it has touched me, it has touched almost everybody I know in some way, whether that was for a healthcare need, a basic need, or to actually fundraise for something fun like a field trip or something like that. Nora brings up the point that in the beginning, platforms like GoFundMe and other crowdfunding platforms were not created to fill in the gaps of healthcare. They were actually created for things like raising money for field trips, raising money for school events, anything that wasn't a basic need or healthcare. But as the healthcare shifts around the world, and especially in the United States, it has become very clear that a lot of people are in need and need extra support. Something that she brings up also right away is that the United States in particular is a huge fan in general of universal health care, except in their own country. And therefore you see a lot of people from the United States asking for help to fill in the gaps that their healthcare cannot help with, especially when diagnosed with things like cancer or diabetes, something where the treatment continues for a really long time. There are campaigns for things like kind of freak accidents, unexpected things that will just take maybe one surgery, maybe two surgeries, and then the person will be able to go on. But a lot of the things that she's seeing on platforms like GoFundMe include things that require a lot of medical attention, a lot of hospital stays, a lot of medication that insurance is just not covering for whatever reason. One of the biggest messages in this book is that the people who are using these platforms, no matter what their socioeconomic background is, often feel shame at asking for help. And she will often see these words of, this is my last resort, I have depleted all of my savings, I don't know what else to do, I don't know where else to turn, this is my only option, I am begging you, I am asking, I am throwing myself under the bus to ask for help. Because again, especially in the United States, there is this idea of pulling yourself up from the bootstraps and really just being able to take care of yourself and not asking for community help. And oftentimes a GoFundMe account or something like that will be created by another person for a family member, for a community member, but oftentimes it is not actually started by the person in need unless it is a basic need. Basic needs are often started by that individual person, whereas healthcare needs are often started by community or family members. Those family and community members are also often women. And on the flip side, the campaigns where the women are the people who are in need of help do worse than the male counterparts of almost the exact same stories. And yet the women are the community and family members who are starting the male member campaigns. So as you dig into this book and as you dig into this research with Nora, you see that there are so many side stories that need to be told. It is not just the feeling of shame and the feeling of this is my last resort. I promise I have done absolutely everything before I posted this. But also the fact that women are creating a lot of these campaigns, and if they are the ones that are receiving the money, they do poorly, but if men are receiving the funds, then they do much better. And the whole purpose of this is to just make us, as the reader, more aware of who we are giving money to, why we are giving the money to, and also to make us aware that everyone is worthy of health care, everyone is worthy of help. And the idea that people have to make their stories really dramatic and awful and share things that maybe they didn't want to share just in order to feel like they are worthy of receiving help. And also going along with societal norms of like, this person is so healthy and a wonderful person and beyond deserving of this gift. Successful campaigns can't just be normal people who are trying their best. It has to be like a superhero mom, a superhero dad, a superhero community member. And the interesting thing about that, which has its own kind of sideline, is that those people who touch the most people who are very active in their community, who are the superheroes of their section, often do really well because they're already touching so many lives. They are already making an impact on so many people. The more people you know who can help you if you are in need of help. Whereas someone who doesn't have the financial or the time to become a huge part of their communities and yet is still deserving of help does not get it because they do not have that community reach. They do not have that neighborhood reach. There's another level to that situation where people who often need the money the most are asking a community that is already depleted financially. And if they can give financial, it is so much less than another person with almost the same circumstances who is involved in a community that has more means. And none of this is to shame anybody who has ever used these platforms, and none of this is to shame anyone who has ever given on these platforms. Of course, you are more willing to give money to someone that you know and you actually know their story, you know their family. It is, again, just to make us all a little bit more aware that people that we may not know are still in need and are still worthy of support. And for us as global citizens to just kind of broaden our outreach, to broaden our sight lines, to include as many people as we possibly can, to make sure that we're not just giving to people that we know, but also giving to help people who aren't in our socioeconomic circles. Something that I found really shocking in the book, aside from those sidelines we already talked about, was the fact that a lot of these campaigns, these crowdfunding campaigns, raise $0 to a few $1,000s. Now, just hearing the amount, a few $1,000s, sounds like, well, shouldn't that be enough? I can tell you personally that my family has gone through cancer treatments, and the amount of money, even with insurance, is beyond outrageous. We were very lucky that we had planned financially for an emergency. The emergency happened, and then we were depleted, and then we had to build that bucket back up. But again, we were very financially lucky that we had the ability to do that. And if circumstances had happened a few years earlier, we would have been in very serious financial trouble. I cannot imagine trying to go through cancer treatments with a beloved family member and also being worried that I wouldn't be able to pay my rent or for food because the hospital stays, and we were really lucky with the type of cancer that we had in the family, but I cannot imagine some of these stories where they have to stay for months in the hospital and get all of these treatments and then all the follow-up visits. It is, that in itself is overwhelming, and then the financial burden that comes along with it year after year after year while you are trying to kick this disease is overwhelming. And the stories in the book are really kind of heartbreaking and make you reassess again who we are saying is worthy of charity and who we are saying is not worthy of charity, and just again being more aware as a global citizen what's actually going on with not only these crowdfunding efforts but any charity that you give money to. There's a great quote from the book that says, "It's a strange and tragic dynamic in our society that the very systems that make us vulnerable in moments of crisis also make it hard for us to ask for help when we need it." Another thought that struck me as I was reading this book is that it feels very similar to the end of Lathe of Heaven, when a character gets to decide who gets to live and who gets to die. And again, it did make me wonder, what is the answer to this? At the end of the book, Nora Kenworthy gives a few examples of things that we can do to kind of help balance this out. But she also says that no matter if you are giving, whatever you are giving charity-wise, whether it's time, financial, anything, the bigger problem has to come from the top, and you have to really advocate for healthcare reform if this is something that touches you. So basically, while it is wonderful to give your time, to give your money, to help your community, to help all members of your community, whatever community that is, it is also very necessary to make sure that we are asking for reforms and making sure that all voices are heard in the healthcare system, and helping fight for those who feel like they have no voices, and helping fight for those who feel very unworthy, because everyone from community, society to the government say that they are not worthy of help. Thank you for watching this book talk on Crowded Out by Nora Kenworthy. It's a short book, but it is something that you should read over at least a few days just to kind of reassess how you yourself are giving of your time and your finances, and how you are viewing healthcare and crowdfunding. It's a great topic for discussion, and it definitely feels like there is room for creativity and room for discussion on how to improve not only crowdfunding, but again, the health insurance gaps that we are dealing with as a society. Next month, we are talking about Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, so make sure that you are tuned in for that next month, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye.